Farmweek is a production of the Mississippi State University Extension Service.
Today on Farm Week, we've all done it. Waste food. A little bit here and a little bit there. Really adds up. We'll examine some initiatives that have been introduced with the goal of cutting waste and getting people to change their mindset.
Summer is winding down, but that doesn't mean the color in your garden has to go anywhere. We'll show you some reliable late summer options.
Honey, I'm home. We're buzzing about this natural sweetener. Find out some ways to incorporate honey into your diet.
And we'll talk to a horseback riding expert who suffered a traumatic riding injury, but it hasn't changed her love of horses. Now, she's sharing her story in the hopes of helping others. Farm Week starts right now.
Hello everyone, I'm Leighton Spann.
And I'm Troy Mulling. Thanks for joining us today here on Farm Week. And Leighton, our first story today deals with something we're all guilty of, and frankly, it's a little bit hard to swallow. I'm talking about not eating food before it goes bad and having to throw it out.
That's certainly right, Troy. And now a federal government push to cut our nation's food waste in half is adding pressure to a number of approaches to tackle this ongoing problem. In fact, almost half of the food produced in the U.S. is destined for landfills. Now lawmakers, citizens, and even an app are looking at some ways to combat the issue. Every day across the country, tons of spoiled, rotten, or unappealing food is being thrown away. Decades of cheap, plentiful food have left Americans with a carefree attitude, and the consequences are piling up.
Food waste is a staggering problem. We've got about 40% of the food that is provided in the United States is never eaten.
That's money just being thrown away.
If you're a family of four, you're wasting $1,500 of food every year, and it's roughly 10 cents of every American dollar spent on food. So we're talking big dollars.
The Environmental Protection Agency says food produce is the single biggest source contributing to American landfills. Last fall, the federal government kicked off a campaign to fight the massive waste with a goal of reducing it by 50% by the year 2030, and people may be starting to take notice. In suburban Washington, the nonprofit group Nourish Now is seeing an uptick in food donations as well as increasing demands from food insecure people.
Every day we get almost 1,000 pounds of recovered food, all food that would typically get thrown out. So we're going to restaurants, catering companies, cafeterias, bakeries, any place that might have food waste, and we're diverting it from the landfill.
In Chicago, the group 0% turned to a high-tech solution to divert produce from the dumpster, using smartphones and drivers to connect food donors with recipients.
So a supplier says, we have 15 sandwiches that are available between 2 and 4 p.m. today. That goes into our system. Step one, it's matched with the need that has already been established in the community.
A key factor in the staggering amount of waste is the confusion over expiration dates on food, leading too many to adopt, when in doubt, throw it out. Lawmakers are proposing a federal bill to simplify food labels.
To clarify and simplify and standardize the labels indicating dates on food so that people know what it means for there to be peak quality and what it means that food is unsafe to eat.
Those congressional efforts aim to give an extra push to divert healthy food destined for landfills, helping feed the hungry, nurture the environment, and save money at the same time. From food waste to good taste, one group is showing off their green thumb to provide fresh food, and it's not who you would expect. The firefighters from Station Number 3 in Tupelo, Mississippi, have been tending to their vegetable garden located right outside their station. They take care of it in between their shifts, Along with growing tomatoes and peppers, they do a lot of canning too. Now you'll want to tune in for this. On next week's show, you'll hear from the folks in charge of the garden. They'll tell us why they decided to try their hand at growing vegetables. Plus, hear the rewards and challenges they've encountered. That's on next week's show.
All right, can't wait for that. Honey is a popular natural sweetener that has been used for centuries, but did you know there are a variety of ways to incorporate it into your diet? In this week's episode of The Food Factor, MSU Extension's Natasha Haynes gives us more reasons to pour on the honey.
Farmers appreciate the bees that pollinate the plants that gives us our favorite foods. But let's face it, we're all about the honey. Everyone knows honey is delicious on a hot biscuit, but it's also great for sweetening coffee, smoothies, and even your morning cereal. Honey is a favorite natural sweetener. Just keep in mind that it is still a carbohydrate, which means it has calories. That said, raw honey is filled with beneficial antioxidants, minerals, and enzymes. And these enzymes, which are added to nectar by the bees themselves, help your body to absorb and digest sugars more easily. So try using it instead of plain white sugar in some of your favorite baking recipes. It's not an exact substitution, but adjusting the amount of liquid ingredients should leave your recipe tasting as sweet as honey. Personally, I love to eat honey before exercising for that quick energy boost that will help me power through my workout. It's time to make healthy food a factor in your life.
And as you may have guessed, honey is the only insect-produced food that humans eat. Also, what state is the leading honey producer in the U.S.? Well, that would be the state of North Dakota.
So you're getting into the trivia game. Well, do you want some plants that don't dry up and blow away in the late summer heat? In this week's edition of Southern Gardening, Extension horticulturist Dr. Gary Bachman shows us several great-looking plants that thrive this time of year.
Mississippi gardeners are always looking for plants that are reliable and colorful at the end of a hot summer. I want to share a few that I'm sure will not disappoint. If I could choose only one plant for late summer, it would be Gomphrena. It likes it hot. I mean hot as Hades. And it grows like, well, you know. A newer series that you need to check out are the Ping Pong Gomphrena, which deliver a blast of color in any landscape. These are a medium-sized plant growing to about 16 inches. Flower colors include white, purple, and pink, and I consider them to be must-haves. Another plant that has shown its heavenly beauty in the landscape is meteor shower verbena. This fun plant looks good with its lollipop lilac flowers and deep green foliage. The vigorous and tight growth habit produces attractive and manageable garden plants. This plant loves our Mississippi heat and frequent droughts and does not need to be deadheaded. I don't think that ornamental sweet potato is used enough, and I don't know why. They have excellent heat and humidity tolerance and are great ground covers. I love this sweet Caroline trial bed of lime green and black in several foliage styles. Now these plants need to be planted in the garden at the beginning of the summer. Have patience with them early and you'll surely be rewarded with hardy late summer performance. I'm horticulturist Gary Bachman, and I'll see you next time on Southern Gardening.
And Gary says these plants are tough and reliable to provide that late summer color.
Wonderful tips there. The official start of fall, not too far away, September 22nd.
That's right, less than a month away, and I can't wait.
Yeah, and where we are still feeling a little bit like summer, won't last for too much longer though. We've got some relief right around the corner. Another thing right around the corner, the markets with Layton. What's going on today?
Well, first of all, just a bit of breaking news. Brownfield Ag News is reporting that Bayer and Monsanto have now signed a definitive agreement under which Bayer will acquire Monsanto. We'll have more on that next week on Farm Week. Looking at what's happening right now in the markets this week, the U.S. corn crop is not quite as good as some thought a month ago. Dipping prices may be ahead for a while in the rice market. While good pastures are being termed a problem as far as feeder cattle, one trader will tell you why. The Soybean Export Council says China is committing now to buy $1.8 billion worth of U.S. beans. That's about 146 million bushels, and that's a good thing because the latest new numbers from the USDA indicate the current big U.S. soybean crop is getting bigger. Meanwhile, Extension's Brian Williams says the U.S. corn crop may not be quite as good as thought a bit earlier. There were reports that the trade was generally expecting a slightly smaller corn crop in the new report. Did this turn out to be true?
It did, and what the trade was expecting was last month the USDA put corn yields at 175.1 bushels per acre. The expectation was that they'd bump that down to about 173.4. While they did bump it down, they didn't quite bump it down as much as what was expected. The numbers that came out were 174.4 bushels per acre for yields.
What would you say was responsible for that change in the number?
Well, the numbers that came out a month ago, they were kind of our first good snapshot of yields based on real data. But it was still pretty early in the growing season or in the mature, as the corn was still maturing. And so we've got just a little bit better picture now. And so it looks like, while we still have a good corn crop, it's maybe not quite as good as what it looked like we were going to have a month ago.
So how will this new number be impacting corn prices over the next few weeks?
Well, when I looked at the markets as shortly after the report came out, and it didn't have too much of an impact. Right after it came out, it maybe dropped markets a couple of pennies. So it's really, with there still being a large crop and there was still a little bit of a reduction, there weren't really any big surprises in the corn numbers, so I don't see it really having a whole lot of impact.
Okay, on the other side, how much change was there, if any, in the U.S. soybean crop in this report?
So on soybeans, the trade was expecting numbers to be bumped up a little bit on yield, especially. What happened is the yields were bumped up a little more than what was expected. Last month, we had an estimated 48.9 bushels per acre yields. The numbers that actually came out this month were 50.6 bushels per acre, so a pretty significant bump on soybeans.
So what would you say the factors were that increased that soybean number?
Well, kind of the same with corn. We were expecting it, but when the numbers came out a month ago, it was still, again, early in the growing season, and we needed that crop to mature a little bit more so we could get more information on it. And the pro farmer tours that were going on a few weeks ago were really showing that soybeans were looking, very good, and so that's kind of showing up this month.
Some analysts joke that the crystal ball none too clear as far as the future of the rice market this fall. What is certain here at mid-month is that prices have continued to decline. Exports are off as well. Traders report that some of the market is trading weather while other sectors are trading the fundamentals. The bottom line, though, according to the Rice Advocate, higher prices will need to be seen in order to generate any production interest over the longer term. There is hope some additional rice export business will materialize to help siphon off the existing stockpiles of rice. Well, time for the trivia quiz today on Farm Week. Our question comes from Forestry Products. What southern yellow pine species is considered best for pole production? Is the answer loblolly, shortleaf, slash, or longleaf? We will have the answer coming up here shortly.
We're going to pause for a short break, but don't go anywhere. Your Farm Week flashback is moments away. Plus, Leighton tells us why good pasture conditions can actually be bad for the cattle market. And our feature segment today is all about horses and what you can do to stay safe while riding. You'll meet one experienced rider who suffered a terrible injury. Now she's sharing her story to help and inspire others. You won't want to miss it.
Why farmers markets? Why come here?
Well, there's no doubt it tastes better, and heck, it's better for you too.
Hooray, cantaloupe!
Everywhere you look is great food, healthy food.
It's just a healthier choice, and we like that it supports our community.
The reason I come is because you just can't find this quality anywhere else.
Hooray, farmers market!
This week in 1995, the Mississippi congressional delegation was working to get aid for cotton farmers affected by the tobacco budworm. Farmers lost more than $100 million due to the pest. Losses were also high for other farmers across the Southeast, raising the losses to close to $700 million. On the other end, the corn crop was good, very good. It was close to the record average set the previous year. Producers harvested over 20 million bushels. A dry March allowed farmers to plant early, giving the corn a chance to mature before the summer heat set in. And nobody pays much attention to beavers until they're flooding your land. Farmers in Indianola were dealing with so much water that trees had become smothered and vegetation couldn't come up. Enter the Clemson Drain. Farmweek reported on this new contraption that drained the water and confused beavers as to where to stop it. Oh yeah, and Artist Ford brought a whole bunch of apples to the set too. Hey Layton, you got a Honeycrisp in there? And that's this week's Farmweek Flashback.
Well, we begin the livestock segment with hogs, where a rapid increase in animal slaughter by processors is putting some pressure on the market. Slaughter is reported to be over 2.5% higher than a year ago, 1% higher than projected by the recent quarterly Hogs and Pigs report. The website meetingplace.com notes that hog values are down 25% just since June. That report says, quote, recent trends are quite negative. They do not bode well for the future. Well, moving to feeder cattle, good pasture conditions can actually be a negative for the market at times. This is one of those times. That's what trader John Roach is saying. He also says the situation in the fat cattle market is not helping the feeders either. You might say it's a 1-2 punch. John explains it this way.
The biggest problem the feeder cattle market has, there's a couple of them. First of all, pasture conditions are very good. The good to excellent pasture, 53% of the country's rated, the pastures rated good to excellent, and that's up almost 20% above normal. So we have good pasture conditions, which will tend to keep the feeders there a little bit. But on the flip side of it, you have the fat cattle producer, the feeder, the people feeding the cattle, really suffering some horrible losses. I mean, at the Farm Progress Show this week, we heard horrible losses that were being taken by cattle feeders. So cattle feeders are looking for another notch down in feeder cattle prices. So either the fat cattle start to rally quickly or the feeder cattle are going to take another notch lower.
And back to that trivia quiz question now as we wrap things up here in the markets. If you want to grow timber for use as utility poles, longleaf pine is considered the best species of pine tree. D is the correct choice.
Think about your favorite memory involving a horse. Even if you're not a rider, you likely have at least one thought that your mind returns to. Few animals can evoke the nostalgia of childhood mixed with the sleekness and grace that a horse can bring. It's an animal that demands your time and respect, but in turn is biologically wired to follow your lead. But no matter the bond between horse and rider, accidents and injuries can happen. In our feature story today, you'll meet a woman who, despite years of riding, was reminded of that lesson the hard way. Now she's sharing her story with the hope that others will learn from her mistakes and be inspired to saddle up safely and with confidence.
I think people are actually born with the love of horses. There's so much you can learn from them and develop skills of your own, both physically, emotionally, and spiritually through them.
It's a feeling like no other. The freedom, the power, the exhilaration that comes from two working together as one.
It's like learning to communicate with someone that's a lot like yourself. There's a unique bond that you develop with the horse because of their massive size.
Mary Shannon is a riding instructor whose history with horses spans half a century. And this past February, she almost lost that unique bond forever.
So it is kind of ironic that I've been riding as much as I have, and I'm an advanced level path instructor, and a Welsh pony bucked me off and broke my back. boy. Back.
What began as a quick outing with a rescue horse ended with a devastating injury and weeks of recovery.
It was almost like a psychotic episode. And he did a lunging leap where they jump up in the air and buck. And of course, I wasn't prepared for that at all. And so I did come off of him and fell on my back, directly on my back. But I was in excruciating pain and I knew I was hurt. They did surgery. It was the 3rd, 4th, and 5th vertebra. And the 4th one was cracked and the 3rd and the 5th were displaced. And then I was in the hospital for 15 days, but I couldn't walk for a while. It was kind of scary. It's very humbling. And of course, we always know things can happen so quick and change your life. It gives you a different perspective on it.
Experts say it's not unusual for experienced riders to let their guard down when interacting with a familiar animal.
Those are things that are taken for granted, probably more from the quote experienced riders and horse handlers because they get comfortable around horses and then take those things for granted.
For as bad as it was, Mary knows her injuries could have been much worse if not for a helmet.
I know without a doubt I would have had a head injury of some sort. There's no way to predict that, what it would have been. But with the impact, I was thrown 10 feet. Yeah, I mean, he threw me up in the air, and it was with a lot of force that he got me off. So I know that my head would have been, injured with the way that I hit on my back.
In the United States, around 70,000 reported incidences to hospitals with horse-related incidences. It's not necessarily head injuries. Head injuries account for about 17% of that. That combined with the fact that if you consider what you're doing, you're sitting sometimes 8, 9 feet in the air when you're riding a horse. It's known that it only takes about 4 to 6 miles an hour and a fall from 2 feet to crush the skull. When you exacerbate that with a 9-foot elevation, an animal that can run 40 miles an hour, it's pretty easy to see that the need for safety is pretty important with horses.
Cavender stresses that a horse's first instinct isn't to bite or try to injure someone, but they may be nervous in unfamiliar situations. That's why understanding the animal's breeding, body language, and temperament is crucial to having a safe ride. If you choose to wear a helmet, studies say that decision could pay off if you're put in a dangerous situation.
Okay.
The United States Pony Club actually has data that they reduced the incidence of serious head-related injuries by about 50% just from requiring the use of wearing a helmet or the use of helmets. Obviously, the helmet's going to do 2 things. It's going to prevent the sheer force or crushing force of a fall, and it's also going to cushion the energy or absorb the energy that's created from that fall.
For Mary, protecting her head has been a self-imposed requirement for years, dating back to her time as a therapeutic riding instructor.
I think it's just like, like I said, it's a seatbelt. It doesn't do a thing for you unless you need it, but when you need it, it's critical.
Besides helmets of different shapes and colors, there are countless precautions that beginning and experienced riders can check off the list before mounting up.
I would say first and foremost, without exception, is making sure your tack's in good working order. And knowing your limitation for sure. The limitation of you and the horse. Training horses is not something that happens in a 10-day process. This is a year, 2-year, 3-year, lifetime event.
I do think we all just become a little lackadaisical in our thinking about the horse. I mean, you just can't help to do that. When you ride for so long, it's just kind of like your camera. If you don't know that equipment, then you're setting yourself up for an accident as well.
Healed and back in the saddle, Mary is determined to make sure she's prepared for the activity she enjoys and the animal she loves.
It's learning about how to interact safely with the horse, and that goes from how you approach them, put a halter on, lead them, turn them out in the pasture, because, in my opinion, most accidents happen because, we're not observing safety things. Horses are not typically mean creatures. They're really not, and they've been, instrumental to the human for years and years with their loyalty and their dedication.
All right, so we do want to make it clear that the horse in that story is not the horse that was involved in Mary's accident. She tells me that horse was given to Mississippi State University to be used in a research project.
And Dr. Cavender gave you some more tips to watch for in a horse you're thinking about riding. He says that friendly horses have their ears forward and also have a calm, bright expression. And he says a horse that swishes or pins his tail may not be comfortable enough to let you ride.
Good tips. So safe riding, everybody. Be safe out there. So that's going to do it for this week's show. Got a great show on tap for next week, though.
That's right. The Food Factor has some excellent tips on making the perfect hard-boiled egg. We'll tell you all you need to know to prepare this protein-packed snack.
And if you want a plant that comes in a variety of sizes and colors, we've got something for you. We'll talk all about lantana to see what this flower can do for your landscape.
And we're checking in on a new peanut project. See if peanuts from Texas will be the ticket to shortening the growing season in Mississippi. That's all next time here on Farm Week.
All right, so thanks everybody for joining us. Of course, make sure you can always follow us on our social media pages. We'll see you next week. I'm Troy Moling.
And I'm Leighton Spann. We will see you then. Thank you for watching.